For this video, I'll go through each of the problems that require some sort of a computation. If there are questions, the homework questions are just on theory, I'll let you work those out. You can check my answer. Oh, you could review the textbook. But anyways, hopefully this should help in understanding how to work through these problems. The first one, the Patel family has a disposable income of 80,000. Patel spends 80% of new disposable income on consumption. That means their MPC is 80%. Their autonomous consuming spending is equal to $10,000. So you'll recall that the formula for consumption is C equals A plus M plus MPC times disposable income. Here we have A is equal to their autonomous consumption spending of $10,000. Their MPC is 0.8 or 80%. If their disposable income is 80,000, let's just plug everything in. A plus this times that. And that gives us 74,000. The numbers on your homework question might be slightly different because of this algorithmic, but that's basically the process that you come about. 74,000, check the answer. And good, you want to get that green check mark, you get that dopamine hit. Let's look at this next question. If disposable income increased by 2,000, consumption increases by 1,500. What happens to the rest of the money? Whatever you don't spend, you save. So $500 is saved. Let's look at these questions. Increases savings as a result directly from the change of income. Savings just went up by $500. That's the portion that was not consumption. Marginal propensity to save, 500 divided by 2,000 is going to be 0.25. Marginal propensity to consume, if you're consuming change in consumption is 1,500 divided by the change of disposable income of 2,000, 1,500 divided by 2,000 is 0.75. If you want to check your work, the NPS plus the MPC should equal to 1. This next question, rank the marginal propensities to consume among the 5 people from the largest to the smallest. Well, I'm just going to pop these into Excel. I don't have to remember anything. You could do these on paper or however you like to record information. And I need to do some data massaging. This should be 20,000. $3,200, -7. The marginal propensity to consume is the change in consumption divided by the change of income. So I'll just come in here, write a formula, that divided by that. And so Abe's MPC is 0.6. And the easiest way to sort these is let Excel do the work for me. You can do it however you want. You can put a number next to it. We're going largest to smallest. All right, so AC has the first one. Darren is next. Abe, Eli, and Bert. 2 largest marginal propensities consume correct, but the third one is wrong. Let's see, Casey, Darren. Oh, Abe, he's sort of switched. I had that, I must have grabbed it wrong. Casey, Darren, Casey, Darren. Oh, okay, go try again. Casey, Darren, Abe, Eli, and Bert. Okay. Let's look at the next question. This one is a theory question. So if you don't know the answer, I would highly encourage you to look into the textbook and take that time and effort, make sure you understand the multiplier. We're looking at real GDP. And let's see okay. Let's go to question 5. K wants to spend 30,000 on a purse instead of donating it to Haitian earthquake relief. Multiplier is 1.1. How much will GDP rise when she buys her purse? Well, she's going to spend $30,000 on her purse. Multiplier is 1.1. The change in GDP is this times that, or $33,000. So she'll buy the purse. The store owner will take a portion of that money, invest it, or spend it on something else. And whoever they buy stuff from, that person, that store owner will buy things, and on and on. The $30,000 purse turns into $33,000 of GDP. Buying the purse increases America's GDP more than donating the money to Haitian earthquake relief. GDP is gross domestic product. So that will have an effect on the US. If she sends it overseas, it won't make any difference. It won't have the same effect as if she bought it domestically. Buying the purse increases. Suppose she instead donated to Tornado Relief Fund in Joplin, Missouri. Buying the purse increases GDP about the same, because she's, instead of buying a purse, she's buying a different thing that's domestic. The tornado relief people from Joplin, Missouri they'll buy water bottles, they'll buy sanitation, they'll buy whatever it is that they buy, but they're going to buy that domestically. And that will have the effect of increasing the US GDP just as much as her purse. Okay, so let's look at the next question. The least amount of goods and services Roberto will consume is $40,000. He tends to save 30% of every dollar of disposable income that he makes. Let's look at this graph, his consumption function. Oh, we have this already from before. We'll use this formula right here. C equals A plus MPC. So if he has the least amount he'll spend, if he has zero disposable income, he's still going to be spending $40,000. And that is our y-intercept, or A value. If he saves 30 cents on every dollar he makes, his marginal propensity to save is 30 cents. So 30% minus 1 minus 0.3, that means his marginal propensity to consume is 0.7. And what happened? Let's graph it all the way to the very end. You have $200,000 of disposable income. His total consumption will be $180,000. So I'll move this right there. The accompanying graph represents the aggregate consumption function for the small island nation of Pineapple Paradise. The people of Pineapple Paradise expect their future disposable income to increase. Okay, if that whole thing is, if they expect everything's going to increase, they'll consume more. You can either move it up here or down there. That's a decrease. If they expect their future disposable income to decrease, it would go down. But here we're looking at an increase. So 4,000. What is the new level of aggregate autonomous consumer spending? Right here at 4,000. It just went up by 2,000. That's the amount of, the question was the increase, it would be 2,000. But we're looking at the aggregate autonomous consumer spending. That's if disposable income is zero. Okay, and these questions have to do with theory. Well, let's just go through them. The consumption function shows the relationship between consumption spending and disposable income. So what do we have? The slope of the consumption function is the marginal propensity to consume. Changes in consumption can be predicted by changes in disposable income by the marginal propensity to consume. And so let's use this statement that we just did right here. If the MPC is 0.8, disposable income increases by 1,000. How much will consumption increase? You multiply the MPC by the change of disposable income. 0.8 times 1,000 is 800. Okay. And these are, the island of Castlevania has a recession. As a result, consumers reduce spending on kitty chow, and planned aggregate expenditures fall short of real GDP. As a result, unplanned inventories at kitty chow firm the unplanned portion will increase because they produced a bunch not expecting the recession. So they're going to have a whole bunch of excess inventory. Thankfully, the recession is short-lived. Consumer spending on kitty chow increases to pre-recession levels. So they're going to have a glut of kitty chow that they're going to have to burn through before they start making new stuff. Let's see. Firms will sell off excess. Okay, they'll sell off excess inventories before returning to increased production levels. Hopefully, cats didn't go hungry during the recession. Identify how planned investment will change in each scenario. Air Wings, a commercial airline manufacturer, becomes optimistic about economic conditions. Okay, if they're optimistic, they're probably going to buy more airplanes, or they will update the lounge area, whatever it is. They'll increase their investment. Increases. Federal Reserve announces an end to accommodate monetary policy, implementing policy tools that will increase the real interest rate. With a higher interest rate, you'll have less entrepreneurs borrowing money because it's more expensive. So investment is going to decrease. In an effort to reduce constant budget deficits, Congress announces plans to increase the corporate income tax rate. If you increase taxes on businesses, they'll have less money to invest. So that will be a decrease in planned investment. A major recession has reduced consumption spending, hurts the profit levels for Aston Benz, a high-end car manufacturer, and then that will decrease. Let's look at the next question. Okay, these are planned investment spending. Well, this is a theory one. Why don't you go ahead and take a moment and work through this one? Question number 12. This graph models an economy in equilibrium with a real GDP of 180 billion. Suppose that consumers' expectation about future income change, causing unplanned inventory investment to increase by 30 billion. So that's unplanned. Remember, unplanned inventory investment, that's negative. So let's go from 90 down to 60. What's going to happen? Changes will cause the equilibrium level of real GDP. So before we were right here at 180 and 180, and now we are down to 120 and 120 and 120. The real GDP is decreasing. How much does it decrease by? Okay, that's a decrease and not an increase. So let's make sure that's negative. And we go from 180 to 120. So that's negative 60. The company graph, the Canadian planned aggregate spending. Suppose there's autonomous decrease in aggregate spending of $40 billion in this country. That's quite a bit. Okay, show this on the graph. Let's grab this graph and pull it down by 40,000. So there we go. What is the initial unplanned inventory investment? So unplanned is already negative. And so that's going to be 40. They just told us. It's going to decrease by 40. So if it's unplanned, then you have unplanned is 40 billion. If the firms adjust their production, what is the total change in real GDP? Well, this one is negative because you're going from 120 right here down to 40. So that's a negative 80. Consider the graphical representation of the Canadian cross for a hypothetical country where the planned aggregate spending is line of graph. There's an autonomous increase in aggregate spending of $20 billion. Show this one on the graph. Here we go. There's 20 and 20. What is the initial unplanned investment? That unplanned, so it's if you're going from 40 to 60, that's the unplanned of negative 20, because unplanned is negative. After firms adjusted production, what is the total change in real GDP? We were at 80 billion before, and the new one is at 120, so that's at 40 billion. Okay. Troll Island is a small island nation that recently experienced an autonomous change in aggregate expenditures increased by 6 billion, and the marginal propensity to consume on Troll Island is equal to 0.82. What is a change in Troll Island's real GDP? So it's just like this one right here, where you have the multiplier, and then you have the change in spending. Okay, that's 6. But let's figure out the multiplier. The MPC is 0.82. So 1 divided by 1 minus 0.82, the multiplier, that gives us 5.556. And so the change, if I did this right, is 33.3. Oh, it looks like it liked it. Which of the statements best describes the paradox of thrift? This is another theory question. I don't entirely agree with this statement, but I mean, if you look at at least the line of thought and how this is developed, this is how the way that John Maynard Keynes does make a pretty good argument, though, in the paradox of thrift. So if households will decrease their savings during a recession, what happens? No, they don't decrease their savings. Households increase their savings during a recession, which causes consumption to fall. So you're looking at a change in the MPC, aggregate expenditures to fall, and may possibly lead or make worse a recession. And that's the last question for this homework. Okay, I hope that was helpful in holding your hand, walking you through this homework. Make sure you understand these questions, because this last question I won't put on the exam, but some of these other questions, you might see something like that. Yeah, so please, you should be responsible for understanding this material.